If you have your Bible, please go with me to the most difficult book in the Bible to find, Genesis. Yes? And let's go to chapter 8, verse 22. If you don't know where that is, ask the person next to you to help you. Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. We will conclude our series today, Seasons. Have you enjoyed this season? This series? This season? I have enjoyed this series. God is always good. He's always dealing with us in powerful ways. Do you have it? While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, and day and night shall not cease. This was the introduction to our series, and this is how we're going to finish our series on seasons. And I want to conclude this series with a question that I will invite everyone to deal with today. The question is, where is God when it's dark and cold? Where is God during the winters of your life? This sometimes is a question that we don't want to entertain. We don't want to ask the questions because it seems difficult to justify God. Because that's what we do as Christians. We try to justify God. And we try to release any responsibility from Him that we don't think belongs to the character of who He is. Because we know that He's loving and He's kind and He's wonderful and He's beautiful and He's amazing and He's long-suffering. So we don't like to think of God as a God that will make you uncomfortable so that you can change your ways. We don't like to think of a God that way. We like to think of a God that is so long-suffering that He will allow you to die without first making you uncomfortable into changing your ways. Yes, that's the kind of picture that we like to think of God. We don't think of a God that is willing to allow His children to be taken captive because of disobedience, in hopes that while they're struggling and suffering and in pain, they will remember that there was a God that was so loving and so kind to them. And we see this story over and over in the Old Testament. As soon as they entered into the promised land, we find themselves constantly reading, and this is how we read, and the people of God again turned their backs on Him. You know what book is that? It's filled with those little stories, the book of Judges. Every one of the stories that tells you about one of the judges starts the same way. After a period of prosperity, the people turned away from God. So God had to raise a leader known as a judge. So there are aspects of God that we don't like to deal with, that we don't like to entertain, that we don't like to question, that we don't like to think about. We just like to ignore those and leave them aside, not think about them. But I want you to entertain that question today. Where is God when it's dark and cold in your life? Anybody in here experienced dark moments? Have you experienced cold moments? Long winters? So please entertain that question with me. Where is God when it's dark and cold? Because it's easy to find God when opportunities abound. Yes? It is easy to see God whenever you're hearing about a promotion that they're contemplating you for. Immediately, as they consider you, as your name comes up, immediately you say, oh my goodness, God, you're so good, you're so amazing. Look at this opportunity. It feels like someone is placing a seed in your life of wonderful things that may come in just a short period of time. So as we're introduced to this wonderful seed, there is hope, there is potential, there are dreams. Springtime is beautiful, isn't it? Who doesn't love the idea of hearing from God? Oh, I'm going to do amazing things in your life. Oh, I'm going to bless you in such a way that your finances will not have enough room in the bank for you to hold them. You have to bless Pastor Richard with it because you have no room in your bank account for all of it. A little hint there. Just kidding. Okay? But you see, it's easy to see God in the beginning of a wonderful journey when you hear of the amazing things that God has in store for you. I remember just thinking about the moment where I felt like God was calling me. It was just an amazing experience. It's easy to feel God when you are in the middle of His presence, enjoying all of the hope and the potential and the promises and the dreams that He's bestowing upon you. Yes? It's easy to see God there. You see, and as challenging as the summer may be, it's also not difficult to see God fighting for you. We know there's a lot of fighting during summer, protecting the seed, protecting the soil, protecting from the enemies that come and want to destroy it. And you know, even during summer, in the middle of all these challenges and difficulties and problems, there are some things about it that make you always feel closer to God. Like one of them is, if somebody is attacking you, it's because there is something worthwhile inside of you, right? And we know that as soon as the seed is producing something, immediately the weeds come. Yes, the tares come immediately. That's a good sign. It's almost flattering. When problems come your way, it's almost flattering because it means that there is something good in you that the enemy wants to destroy, wants to attack. That is why we really should count it all joy. It's flattering. I mean, it means that God is doing something in your life. When you're moving forward, expect opposition. So if there is opposition in your life, you should be excited because you're moving. The enemy, listen, the enemy will never go after you if you're not a threat. If there is no potential in your life, the enemy will not even look at you. You're not important. You're only important in the moment that you're producing something that God has placed inside of you. The moment that you say to your children, you will be a son of God, you will be a daughter of God, you will behave, you will do. That moment, when you start that battle, you can expect opposition. But you let them do whatever they want to and they'll love you. They will love you. You tell them go to sleep early and they will not like you. You tell them you need to have good grades. But why? Nobody else has good grades. And their parents are not onto them. You start demanding things and there is opposition. Opposition everywhere. You see, so springtime and summer, the presence of God feels there, active, moving in your life. I mean, what can we say about harvest time? Can you feel the presence of God during harvest time? I'm telling you, there are very little moments in life where you can experience extreme joy as when you receive something you don't deserve. A harvest that you didn't sow for. Yes? That's amazing to be able to receive something from God that you didn't work for. It just feels terrific. So certainly, it's impossible not to see God during the harvest time. He's always there. You can see Him. Yes, those moments where His presence is overwhelming in our lives. Those moments are amazing. But where is God during winter? Where is God during winter? And there is some interesting things about this question. It's not something simple to answer. Because if you say, God is right next to me, then how do you explain death around you? How do you explain suffering and the struggle? See, it's a little complicated, but we have to entertain this question. Where is God during winter? Where is God during the cold moments in your life, the dark moments in your life? Where is God? It is an important question, and it matters. Knowing the answer to this question is key in your understanding of the living God. You need to be able to comprehend and be able to see God in winter in order for you to have a full picture of what God is. Because if you only judge God by springtime or by summer or by the harvest, you will have an incomplete picture of what God is. And you will act as if God is not there when He might be right there next to you. We cannot categorize God only for the feelings of one particular season in our life that we may like and love. In order for you to have a real perspective of who God is, you need to consider the question, where is God when it's cold and dark in your life? Where is He? Cannot limit our understanding of God to one particular season. That would be like saying that God is good when it's sunny outside. You can have a picnic with your family and it's beautiful. But where is God when there is a storm outside? A storm that nearly destroyed everything that belongs to you. Are those two different gods? Is it the same God? You see, to limit God to one particular season, it'll be like saying that God is good when you get the promotion. But is God not good when you get fired? Is God powerful during one season in your life and weak during a different season? You know what? Maybe He's hibernating during winter. And He's not able to help you. What do you do with that? Where is God when it's cold and dark outside? Sometimes people think that if you're not in the middle of the harvest, it means that you have done something wrong or God is punishing you. People act sometimes like if your life should be a constant harvest every single time they see you. And when it's not the case, they will ask questions like this. Who sinned that this person has been in a long winter as this? Was it his parents or was it him? Does it sound familiar? So where is God during winter? It seems like only a couple of seasons God is present. Let me tell you something. You need to know and deal with where is God during the dark and cold seasons of your life. Because we have always had and we will always continue to have winters in our lives. Everyone. And some winters are ugly. Where is God during winter? Let me be a little more practical when I ask this. Where is God when a woman has been praying for 10 years for her marriage and she's ready to sign the divorce papers because it didn't work? Where is God when a faithful man has been fighting cancer for several years and he's ready to die? Where is God when a child is being sexually abused? Where is God when a child goes to sleep hungry day after day after day? We can't ignore that this question is a valid question and that it is important for us to entertain these questions to get a full picture of God. Because the first thing that we try to do, God is love, and I don't know how to explain this, but that's not God. I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to answer the fact that God will heal this person who is praying and seeking and crying out to God, and God will not heal this person. How do we deal with that? Is it that God likes this person more than the other? Maybe this person prayed more than the other. Where is God whenever good people, faithful people died because of the pandemic? Or where was God? I'm trying to think, maybe God didn't see that winter coming. Maybe when those scientists in China were being irresponsible or whatever, maybe God couldn't stop it, right? It slipped. And then he said, okay, now I got to find a way to keep it here in China and not let it go somewhere else. And then he failed at that too. You see, we have to understand, we have to deal with this question so that when we have everything, all of the elements, then we can get a better picture of who God is, what God is, how God is. So let's keep asking the question. Where is God when it's cold? When is God when it's dark in your life? Working in us, okay. Please don't take my message away. Just kidding. Where is God during winter? Here's some things that you need to know before we address the question. Winter is always coming. Winter is always coming. And you may be free to tell the person next to you, winter is always coming. Not only winter is always coming, but it is always cold and dark somewhere. You may be enjoying summer right now, but somebody else is going through a long winter as we speak. While you're enjoying summer, someone else is trying to survive a cold winter. And so, knowing that winter is always coming, you and I need to learn how to handle the winters of life. Because it's not a matter of if it comes, it's when it comes. It's coming. Winter is always coming. Just the same way that harvest is coming. And by the way, we have entered the harvest season already. Listen, I know it doesn't feel like it. My wife said that maybe he didn't get the memo that it has already entered. She said it was 100 and something by this afternoon. I was like, no way. That's crazy. But guess what? It doesn't matter. Because officially it has started. And I think that's exactly how God works. You keep telling God, well, Lord, it doesn't feel like I'm healed. It doesn't matter. Because officially, your healing has already started. So whether you feel like it or not, it doesn't matter. Officially, we have entered fall season, harvest season. So let me tell you some things before we get into addressing the question. You know that animals know how to handle the winters? Animals know how to handle the winters. There's a few things that they do. Animals, sometimes, some of these animals change the fur, getting ready for winter. Isn't that amazing? It gets thicker. Sometimes it changes color because winter is coming and they got to be ready. They know how to handle the winter. Some of them, like squirrels, start gathering food, hiding it, keeping it ready because during winter, it's scarce, right? Scarce? Did I say it right? Scarce? Thank you. So they start gathering. Others, guess what they do? They eat a lot. We don't. They do. They eat a lot to get ready, to be prepared for the winter. They eat a lot. They want to add an extra layer of protection for the cold. Here's another thing they do. Some animals, they migrate. They fly south. It's an instinct. It's in their DNA. They don't have textbooks that tells them how they need to be ready for winter. It's inside of them. It's an instinct they have. They know what to do. They know what direction to go. They fly south every single time. Isn't that amazing? Some others don't migrate. They stay. They make a choice. There are benefits to staying if they survive winter, but there are risks. Because every winter, some animals don't make it. They don't make it. So, let's address the question. Where is God when it's dark and cold? Psalms 74, verse 17. Verse 17. This is God, speaking about God. Yes? You have set all the borders of the earth. You have made summer and winter. This is the beginning of our answer. Where is God when it's cold and dark? You've made summer and winter. Who made winter? God made winter. You may think this is wrong to say, but God can be found during winter. God can be found when it's cold. He can be found when it's dark. He can be found in the middle of suffering, in the middle of pain, in the middle of struggle. God made winter. He made it. Now, what kind of God will make winter? And what winter represents to us? We're speaking about the winters of life. And we know from Ecclesiastes that there is a time for everything. There is a season. And these 4 seasons that we talked about are a never-ending cycle. For as long as the earth remains, there will always be this beautiful cycle of spring, summer, fall, and winter. And our lives are the same way. In our lives, we have a springtime, and we can do this in the long span of our life. You have a winter, you have a summer, you have a fall, and eventually you'll have a winter, and you will cease to exist. Yes, you will die. But also, you have little cycles where you have a springtime where there's a seed in your life, and then you work for a summer, and then the harvest comes, and you see the fruit of that season. And then winter comes again, and then again springtime, and then you have another wonderful harvest, another harvest, and it's just a never-ending cycle. Yes? But why is it that God created this season that is so cold, so dark, and sometimes so long? Inevitable, because we as humans have experienced long winters. Do you know how long was World War II? About 6 years. Can you imagine 6 years of that kind of winter? We had a pandemic that at its peak was 4, maybe 3 months where you were not allowed to go out anywhere. Did you like that? Well, some people did like that. I guess that's not a good question. Some people did love that. But others did not like that. Anyways, not a good example. Okay, let's move on. So, why is it that God created winter? So let's establish first, and let's go on this. God created winter. What does that mean to you and to me? So winter represents the moments where we experience pain and suffering, dark moments in our lives. dark is never associated with God. Darkness is never associated with God, correct? It's not a good thing. Nobody likes those moments, dark and cold. And yet, God created the very device that carries those things. God created winter, which brings cold and dark. God created the instrument that brings cold and dark. That means that God is most likely responsible or ultimately responsible for the pain and suffering that you experience. No, amen. God doesn't do that. God does not inflict pain. Who in here has had at one point or another inflicted pain in someone else in hopes to make them better? I'm not talking about your husband or your wife. I'm not talking about your husband or your wife. Please do not be inflicting pain over them. I'm talking about your children. Do you think that as they're feeling the belt, you think that they feel love during that moment? Do you think they're questioning you? Yes. Well, I'm thinking about this, and I know that it is one thing to say it from here on a pulpit, and while we laugh. And it is a very different to say that while someone you love is dead. And have to understand that God is ultimately responsible for that. And this is why it's so important that we understand and that we deal with this question, where is God when it's cold and dark? Because it'll give you a better perspective of who God really is. Number one, it'll speak of his power, sovereignty that he has. God is either all-powerful or not powerful. He's not in the middle. It's not like God can overcome some things, can do some things, or not. Is God active in our lives or not active at all? Meaning, it's either he has the power to stop something or he doesn't. He's either active or he's not, right? So if he's active, then you have to question. Does he have the power to do anything he wants, anything he pleases? And if the answer is yes, then you have to deal with another one. Then what happened that one time? What happened this time? You have to deal with those questions. So for now, you need to know that he is the creator of winter. So if it has been a very, 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 very cold winter for you, and it's been 2 or 3 years that it has been very, very cold, ultimately the creator of that winter is God. It doesn't matter if it was your wrong decisions that brought cold over your life or a dark moment of your life. The creator of the device that is utilized to carry cold and dark is God. Yes. He's the creator. I know this is getting dark right now. But God has never been a God that hides his hand when he does something. It's like God can handle it. Sometimes we want to justify it. Like, for instance, have you noticed that in the Bible, God is never tried to cover the sins of his people? He never covered the sins of David. What a mighty man David was. Have you seen in the Bible God trying to cover what he did? No, he exposed it all. We are told of the things that he did. A man according to his heart. And we're told of the things that he did. Not only that, but God himself. I feel like God is looking at us, justifying him against other people, and they're like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you answering for me? No, God didn't do that. God was not part of that. Why are you answering for me? Let's go to Isaiah 45, verse 7. The first time I came across this scripture, it shocked me. Verse 6. Let's start with verse 6. that they may know from the rising of the sun to its setting that there is none besides me. I am the Lord, and there is no other. That's very, very vast. I form the light and create darkness. Too dark in your life sometimes? God created it. I make peace and create calamity. Now, that is translators trying to put it nice for you. You know what calamity is? Evil. That's the right translation. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all things. So we have this dilemma. We have a God that is either active or not active. So he's active. Since he's active, he's either all-powerful or not powerful to do everything. And we say that he's all-powerful. That means then that when something happens in our lives, he either did it himself, because he says in here, he does all these things, or he allowed it to happen. Now, for this purpose, they're both one and the same. It doesn't change. Because if I'm 2 years old and I'm walking with my mom, and as I'm walking, I stumble and I fall and scratch my knees, I will look at my mom in a way that I'm almost blaming her. Because I will say, you could have held me. You had the power. I was right there. And you didn't. That is a good place to be with God. You may think it's not a good place. It is a good place to be with God. Because in that moment, you're giving him all the power and authority. You're placing all of this on him. You're saying, God, you are still powerful. If I am in the condition that I am, it's because it pleases you. You're not saying, God, you're not able to help me. You were not able to do something for me. No, you're saying, God, if I am where I am today, it's because it pleases you for me to be here. It's because you are allowing for this to be the case, in the case that it is right now. So, where is God during winter? God is right there. He's right there. Pastor, what good is it that he's there if I'm suffering, if I'm struggling, if I'm in pain? What good is it if he's right there? He created it. He designed it. It means that when you're going through a winter, it's controlled winter. The climate, how low, how dark, all of it is controlled. If he created it, he designed it. If he's all powerful, it means that it's controlled. Yes. So, when winter is over, do me a favor. When the storm is over, do me a favor. Start looking through the debris. Move things around. Please find God's name in it. It will be there. And when you find it, it will bring you peace. To know that as painful as it was, as difficult as it was, as complicated as it was, it means that he was always in control. That he was always by your side. So, where is God when it's cold and dark? He's right there next to you. So why then the winter? And I'm going to share 3 things in the next 10 minutes with you. 3 things of why winter. Number 1, to make you more productive. To make you more productive. Winter makes you more productive. Let me read something to you. Winter is good for the world around us, as it is for us. Many plants need shorter days and low temperatures to become dormant. You know that? This way, plants can store up energy for new growth. You see, the difficulties of life, the challenges of life that seems like are slowing you down, that seems like are killing you, in reality are preparing you for a process that will help you store up energy, wisdom, knowledge, so that you can grow. Isn't that amazing? This way, plants can store up energy for new growth. Listen, if a fruit tree doesn't have enough chilling time, did I say that right? Doesn't have enough chilling time, it will produce fewer and weaker buds. Buds? 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 Too close to the other one. Buds? Buds? Your winter, it's not to destroy you. It's a control environment by the Creator. So He knows exactly what kind of temperatures are required for you to become dormant, to store up energy in your life so that you can become more productive. When you're experiencing difficulties, it doesn't matter how long this season is. It is a controlled environment. Just the same way that you have wildfires and controlled fires, you have controlled winters in your life, where God is doing everything that is necessary to prepare you for what is coming in your life. They're there to empower you, to make you stronger and make you wise. And listen, I know that winters can be a few hours, can be a few decades. A few decades, Pastor, yes. What do I mean by a few hours? Listen, the other day I went to do a job, and I look at the problem, I immediately see what the problem is, and I replace that part, and I put it in. And 2 weeks later, they call me again. It's like, hey, it's doing the same thing again. So I go over there, and I figure, okay, I must have bought a faulty part. So I ordered another one and put it, and the problem is still there. But now it was immediate. And I'm there scratching my head, and I, as a good technician, don't want to call tech support, because I know how to fix this. But finally, I know that I can, and I call tech support. And there is this nice lady that says, listen, I would love to help you, but I'm like, hey. Don't tell me that you would love to help me and then say, but I'm not going to. Just don't say that you won't help me. Wow, Pastor. Listen, I've been there 5 hours. I'm frustrated. I'm upset and I'm mad. Forgive me, Lord. So she says this, and I'm like, I know you can help me. She's like, but this is not the right department. It's commercial versus residential. I'm like, but the part is the same. It's the same part in both scenarios. Nothing changes. Help me, please. I would love to, but it's like, fine. Anyways, so they pass on to a gentleman that is going to help me now this time. And as he's helping me, he's telling me, and I'm asking these questions. Let me ask you this. What is the right behavior for this part under these circumstances? And he's like, it's supposed to do this, it's supposed to do that. And I do everything that he says, and it's still failing. But something is not right, because I've tried 4 different pieces and they're all failing. And there I am struggling, and I'm upset and I'm frustrated because my wife is waiting for me. And I'm thinking, God, what is going on? Can you please help me? This is so simple. Why is this not working? Right? And I'm frustrated and I'm upset for many reasons. One of them is I don't like going to a customer and saying, I don't know what the problem is. And I didn't know what the problem is. So I finally try one more thing, and it fixes the issue. And so at that moment, I'm like, God, why all of this time? Why 5 hours when it could have been 20 minutes? And so the only thing that I could tell is that after 5 hours of troubleshooting that thing, is that I am now an expert on this device. I'm telling you, listen, tech support, what they said was not enough. Now I know more than they. So next time, if somebody needs help, they'll call me instead of them. But you know why? Because it was a long winter. A lot of failing, struggling, difficulty, and challenges. That's how you grow. You want to become a powerful person, but you want no winters in your life. How are you going to become wise if you don't have a struggle that will force everything out of you, that will force you to do things differently? You want to fix something, you try one way and it doesn't work, and you want to quit. It doesn't work that way. The way that you become stronger, powerful, wise, the way that you get all those things is by enduring the winter, not quitting, and instead allowing those things to give you enough wisdom and knowledge to be able to eventually figure things out. I did say I'm sorry. I was frustrated and upset. But mainly what I was frustrated is because when people ask me for something, I go out of my way to try to help. And a lot of times, customer service, they look for any reason to say that's not under my department. And that bothers me. Anyways, it's not about that. So, winter makes you more productive. Winter makes you more productive. Winter in your life is where you learned the most. Suffering, pain, struggle, all of these things leave a mark. Next time I have a service call on this device, I'll know it. I'll know it. It's either this, or this. That's it. I don't have to struggle for 5 hours. You see? When you get out of a bad relationship, a long winter, you need to walk out of that with wisdom and knowledge. So the next time that you notice certain things, you immediately identify what the problem is. And you immediately say, yeah, I'm not going in that direction. I'm not going to be part of it. Otherwise, that winter was in vain. And don't worry, there is another one coming so that you can get the lessons that was supposed to be for you. We all have winters. We all have moments where we failed. I have had situations where I still look back and said, I should have been ready. I should have been ready. The problem is not failing. The problem is that after I said I should have been ready, another comes and I wasn't ready. That is the problem. And another one comes and I wasn't ready. You see, you're not learning from the winters of your life. And we are to learn. Take advantage of every painful situation that you have experienced so that it can teach you a lesson that will allow you to grow and now have better fruit, more fruit. So winters make you more productive. Here's another thing that winters do. Winters kill things around you. This is from a commentary. Strong winters also mean fewer bugs. For example, mosquito populations. They're hiding outside as larvae until spring. All those are cut back by severe cold. See, this also helps prevent diseases that are carried by mosquitoes. So winter has got good things. It kills things that are bugging you. Hey, I've always known I was a funny preacher. I know. Thank you. It's just sometimes I'm not expecting it, and sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. You guys laugh out of things that I wasn't thinking you guys would laugh. Maybe I'm not funny. Maybe you guys are funny. Yes. There are things in your life that are not good for you. And winter comes and gets rid of them. The ones that come to mind, easily are friendships. There are friendships that are not good for you. There are friendships that are not good for you. When you keep inviting people into your house that speak down on the promises of God for you, they're not good for you. When there are people always causing you to doubt what God has spoken over your life, those are not good friendships to have. You see, I don't know if you have noticed or not, but maybe if you look around, there are some friends that you used to have that are no longer there anymore. Maybe they stayed behind a few winters ago. But there is a reality that when it's cold and dark, some people will walk away from your life. And what you need to realize is that you need to stop crying about it. And that you need to stop wishing that they will not walk away. Because it is very likely that it was God's designed winter for you. And what I say designed is that it was maybe a little colder than what they wanted to endure. And so they parted ways. And that is God cleansing your environment, your atmosphere, getting rid of diseases around your life. So please don't insist in dragging friendships into springtime when God is trying to get rid of them during winter. I don't know how I can say this enough. You have to be very selective on your friendships. I am not saying that you don't talk to certain people. I'm saying that you need to be very selective on who you allow to influence your life. We are all influenced. That is not questionable. Every single person in this place is someone that can be easily influenced. We're all easily influenced. I have to watch out what kind of preachers I listen to. I have to be careful on what kind of word I listen to, what kind of books I listen to. Everything, because we're influenced easily. And so you have to be very careful on the kind of friendships that you have. Listen, our friendships are not just to hang out. Hang out is a good part of having friends, but friends are not to hang out. Friends are people that will do life with you, that will build with you, that will carry the load with you, that will encourage you, that will drag you when you don't want to go to church. Those are the kind of friends that you want to have. Friends that when you tell them, you know what, I feel discouraged, I don't want to go to church no more. You want that friend to go knock on your door, and before you open the door, walk inside and say, I'm not going anywhere until you shower and we go to church. That's the kind of friendships that you want. Here's another thing that God wants to get rid of during winters. Not just friendships, but habits. Habits. You see, when things are good and working out for you, there is no reason to make life simpler. Everything is fine. But you know, the idea of hibernation is to reduce how energy is spent. Everything. The idea of hibernation is the preservation of energy. You reduce your activities to the ones that matter. Only the ones that matter. And so, during winter, as cold as it is, we have to stop for a moment and find out if maybe there are some things that we do that are not really that important, but yet are consuming a tremendous amount of time in our lives. Like social media. You see, when you reduce everything that you do to the things that matter, amazing things happen. And that's what winter is supposed to do. Reduce all of the things that you do to the things that matter. Because sometimes we're so busy in the name of the Lord doing things He didn't even ask us to do. I'm doing this in your name, Lord. And He's looking at us like, but I didn't ask you to do that. So, habits to reduce our lives as simple as it can be. You cannot do everything. And yet, there is one thing that you were created for. Start that journey of finding out what it is that God created you to do and start moving in that direction. So, winter makes you more productive. Winter kills things around you. Habits. Bad habits. Anybody here has bad habits that need to die? We all do. So sometimes God sends a cold winter where some of these things die. You're reduced to the things that matter. During the pandemic, everyone started reducing to the things that matter. life was simpler. And it was good. It was still good. So take advantage of the cold weather, the dark time, to be able to analyze what is it in your life that is consuming energy that was supposed to be designed or assigned to something else. Sometimes it could be work. Number 3, and we're closing with this one. Winter makes you more productive, kills things around you. And number 3, winter is the prelude for a new beginning. Prelude for a new beginning. Winter comes like an angel of light on a mission of mercy. Epidemics flee before its health-giving presence. The frost prepares the soil. Listen to this. The frost prepares the soil. The snow preserves the seed. Destructive insects are destroyed and the atmosphere is purified. So why winter, God? Because it purifies. It prepares us for the next season. It prepares us for the next, not just the next season, but the next cycle. The entirety, the next cycle, not just springtime, but summer and fall again. It is a wonderful and amazing thing. Let me read it again just in case. Winter comes like an angel of light on a mission of mercy. Can you get this? As painful as it is, we have to have this image. Because when we experience pain, we don't see mercy. We think of punishment. But winter comes as an angel of light on a mission of mercy. So there are things that we don't understand, and it is okay that we don't understand. Why is it that God allowed this to happen? And listen, every time I speak a word, whatever it is, I do everything that I can in my mind and in my heart to not just let it be vain words. Because it's so easy to speak here of pain that one has not experienced. But I can only imagine the excruciating pain of losing a son or a daughter. And I will never dare to say, well, it is really easy to deal with that. It is not. It is not easy to deal with that. The only thing that we have that we can grab onto is the knowledge that God was powerful enough to prevent that, and He didn't. And that at least leaves me with a God that is powerful, and if He didn't, He knows why He didn't. And I can say, Lord, help me understand. Lord, deal with me during this time. Carry me with you so that I don't faint and keep on going, honoring you and blessing you. But it is a reality that we have to deal with the fact that God is merciful and graceful, even though sometimes we are in the middle of pain and suffering and struggling. That God is still good, even though I am going down, even though things are getting worse for me, God is still good. He's still worthy to be praised. Winter comes like an angel of light on a mission of mercy. Epidemics flee before its health-giving presence. The frost prepares the soil, and the snow preserves the seeds. Destructive insects are destroyed, and the atmosphere is purified. There are two things for sure during winter that I want you to hear today. Number one is that just the same way that winter has a beginning, it has an end. It has an end. It could be 6 years. It could be 10 years. But it has an end. And it will end. And as we learned last week from the harvest, the amazing thing about God is that God has the ability to reap where it was not previously sown. It means that if you experience a 25-year winter and you didn't sow anything, God can show up in a moment and still say, get ready, because His harvest is about to start. And you can experience an amazing harvest. Winter has a beginning and an end. Number two, Spring always comes after winter. Always comes after winter. And spring is symbolic of new beginnings. A new beginning is ahead. If you are in the middle of winter, a new beginning is ahead. But just like our fall right now, you have to understand that this is not based on feelings. It may still feel cold around. But if God says this is a new season, springtime has started, then it doesn't matter what it feels like. Springtime is here. I'm closing with this. Where is God when it's cold and when it's dark? God is right there. And you want him to be right there, even if you're experiencing pain. Because when you know that he's right there, you know that he's powerful to do as he pleases. And if he hasn't done, it's because that's what he pleases. He's preparing you, and he's doing what he's going to do. Understand this. He's got a great destiny for you, amazing things in store for you. But there is a process to get there. There was a process for the people of Israel. There was a process for David. There was a process for Joseph. There was a process for everyone in the Bible that you can read. Amazing things that God has done in their lives. There was always a process. Are you ready for winter? No, I thought that. Are you ready for winter? Listen, I am not a sour pastor. I'm not a sour pastor, right? Thank you. I needed to hear that. I am not a pastor that likes to talk about the downs of life. But I want every one of you ready. I want every one of you to be ready. Because just the same way that you will experience a supernatural harvest that you didn't sow for, the same way that you experience a harvest where you didn't work for that, and God is blessing you in a powerful way, the same way God will bring you, will carry you through a winter to prepare you. Because if you don't go through the winter, you will know how to capitalize on the harvest. If you don't have a solid winter preparing you for the next season, if the foundations are not laid during winter, when the next harvest comes, you will not be able to sustain the blessings that God has in store for you. In other words, you could be in the promised land, but if you don't have the character to sustain the blessings that come with the promised land, you will live in the promised land, but you will live as a slave, just the same way that the people of Israel lived from time to time.